Welcome to Vistara Circle's online meditation and personal development. Today, we'll talk about how meditation helps us cultivate emotional intelligence. A couple of weeks back, we discussed how emotional intelligence is the ability of a person to be in touch with their feelings. It's the ability of a person to understand what they're feeling and also to know why they might be feeling that way, right? So, an emotionally intelligent person is able to know what they're feeling and what the origins of those feelings might be, right? And at certain points, the way we feel, our gut feeling might try to tell us something. So an emotionally intelligent person is also able to decipher or translate what their feelings are trying to tell them via their brain, via their mind, right? Hence the thread between the brain and the heart. We also discussed emotional dissonance, or the lack of connection between your brain and your heart, right? When a person might not necessarily feel like they're able to understand what they're feeling or what the source of that feeling might be or what these feelings might tell them. And there can be several reasons for this, but some of the common reasons for this is just because modern lives, they're pretty demanding. And an individual, as you're a child who grows up, goes to school, gets works in the field you're interested in. There are several different skills that are emphasized, but getting in touch with your feelings, understanding them, is not spoken about as much, right? And even if certain feelings are celebrated, most feelings, I would say, are not, because not every feeling is looked at positively, right? But the human heart has a whole gamut of feelings, right? And there's a rhyme and a reason for all of those feelings, right? Like they might not all tell us something valuable, but there is a certain, again, a logic, if I might say that way, of why we might feel a certain way. So just brushing aside those feelings, right? Saying things, or I've heard things like, just man up and forget about it, or stop crying about it, stop crying about that thing, and just do what you have to do. Things like these are pretty commonly said, heard, but they contribute to this emotional dissonance. And one great way of sort of you know connecting with yourself is by using compassion. Compassion is the feeling of sympathy towards others and also towards yourself, right? That's self-compassion. So self-compassion is the fastest way. It's like the most fun way of getting in touch with your feelings, right? Because if you feel sympathy towards somebody, you can also use it towards yourself. You can try to relate with yourself. You can try to empathize towards yourself. And that is the fastest, the most effective way of knowing what you're feeling, right? And then once you practice compassion enough towards yourself, you'll get better at knowing the origins of that feeling and what those feelings might try to tell you, right? And as a result, you'll have this connection between your brain and your heart, right? But certain times you might face certain intense experiences, right? Like personal loss, financial, professional troubles, right? And these intense experiences might give you seemingly a lot of feelings. And using compassion or any other technique, these feelings might be overwhelming. Let's say you go through, again, extreme financial difficulty, or you and somebody that's really close to you, both of you together go through a financial difficulty or a personal loss, right? So your own feelings, along with somebody else that you care for, their feelings can be very difficult to manage, and they can leave you feeling sort of imbalanced, where you know why you have these feelings, you know what they're trying to tell you, but hey, because of these feelings, you can't go to bed at night, or you don't feel like going to work the next morning, right? And you might feel like you don't have enough compassion left anymore to, use it towards yourself or towards the other. And this situation can be called um, as you feel in uh, a compassion debt. Like you don't feel like you have access to that compassion that you used to have, right? And as a countermeasure against that, we discussed So yeah, if we were to wonder how can we stand back and contextualize these problems so that we regain our balance and we don't feel overwhelmed by our feelings or by feelings of those that we care for, right? Is there a possibility that we can regain our balance, our composure, and remember who we are during these tough times so that we don't feel like all I am is just my so-called negative feelings, right? So one way we discussed we could do that is by developing personal resilience, right? That's why this trend. So personal resilience or resilience itself means an ability of an object to regain their shape after you stop squeezing them. So kind of like a stress ball, right? So similar to a stress ball, it is possible for us to develop personal resilience so that when life stresses us, right, with stress, trauma, in sometimes we can't possibly stop life from stressing us. But then once the stress is gone, we don't find ourselves feeling this way because many times this intense experience is behind us in the past, but we keep reliving it in our minds, in our hearts, and we keep reliving that difficult intense experience. So even if it has happened to us in the past, we let it affect our present and our future, right? So if you were resilient, if you had personal resilience, you wouldn't let that happen. Once this intense experience is over, or even during this intense experience, you will feel this way and you will let yourself regain your balance, right? And this is how you can develop and then hone in your emotional intelligence, is by developing this your compassion muscle and by developing your resilience muscle, right? And all of these muscles, they can be developed by the same workout, the workout of meditation, right? So just a quick recap of what we discussed. Now we'll discuss how does meditation help with compassion and with personal resilience all at the same time. Compassion. To quickly sum it up, just these three words, to me, they tell me really, now that I've meditated for all these years, I can clearly see how and why meditation helps me develop compassion, right? So Baba Nam Kevalam, this tantric mantra, I think it's at the core of the tantric meditation and the philosophies around this meditation that we follow at Vistara Circle. So Baba Nam Kevalam, it could mean only the feeling of infinite love, right? And after all these years of practice, I've come to accept that infinite love, or like this peaceful, loving feeling, is my standard state of mind, right? So each time I feel something that's not infinite love, or each time I feel a feeling that's so-called negative, right? If I feel anxiety, I know that it's just, my heart trying to, with feelings, it's trying to guide me back towards infinite love, right? So let's say I'm sad because I lost my job, and I can use that sadness, that anxiety to search a new job, right? And maybe with that new job, it's so good that I start feeling this infinite love again. Or maybe I just, with this new job, I'm better today than I was yesterday, right? So the reason why I'm better today is because I've taken one more step closer towards infinite love. And yes, I'm not singing kirtan or meditating during my job interview or my job search, but because I'm meditating, hopefully consistently twice a day with whatever time I have, I remind myself that, oh, this infinite love is my base feeling. So yes, I know that all other emotions I have, they're sort of derivatives of this feeling. They're sort of infinite love in its own different states. So anxiety is sort of, if infinite love were like a warm gushing stream of water, anxiety is like icicles. It's like frozen water. So it's just my job of transmuting that frozen water, that anxiety, back into infinite love. So maybe today I'm completely successful in doing that, and I'm able to transmute that love right away into infinite love, right? By getting the job of my dreams. Or maybe I'm just able to take one more step closer towards that. So I was able to, melt that snow a little bit. There's some ice, some water, better than it was yesterday, right? That's the infinite love part of it. Another meaning of Baba Nam Kevalam is the awareness that we are all just different expressions of supreme consciousness, right? You, I, the squirrel in my backyard, we are all just different windows through which supreme consciousness looks out and acts out. So yes, tomorrow, if I see you in despair, if I see you're not feeling infinite love, if you're feeling, again, anxiety, if you're feeling sadness, if you're feeling stress, I know you're feeling that way because it's just another attempt by your heart, by your being, of moving one more step closer, at least one more step closer towards infinite love, right? And because you and I, we're the same, right? We both are just different expressions of supreme consciousness, right? That's gonna make me wanna relate with you. That's gonna make me wanna feel compassionate towards you, right? Because I've been there. So today I acknowledge the fact that you're here, right? All of your feelings, your efforts, they're just another attempt towards feeling infinite love, towards realizing the awareness that you and I, we're just different expressions of supreme consciousness. So that's how I think meditation, through these different feelings, helps us develop compassion. It dissolves whatever intrapersonal barriers I might have towards myself, right? Because once I start feeling infinite love, I realize, wow, okay, now I know all of these other so-called negative feelings. That helps me contextualize them as efforts towards moving closer to infinite love, right? And similarly, because you and I are not very different, we have our differences, our beautiful diversities, but hey, we're just, in the kernel of my heart, we're just beings, right? We're just supreme consciousness looking out of one window and then the other, and guess what? Magically, through those two windows at the same time, right? It also helps me dissolve our interpersonal barriers so that next time I see you make an effort towards something, right? And if I can, in a healthy way, help you, I will, instead of, judging you or looking the other way when I shouldn't have. That's the compassion piece. Personal resilience. So meditation, right? Just like that stress ball, right? We saw a stress ball in our last video where squeeze the stress ball how much ever you want, but once you stop squeezing it, it just comes right back to how it usually is, right? Because this material, it's resilient. Similarly, meditation, it gives you this resilient idea of who you are when there are no external pressures, when there are no external stresses, right? It helps you develop this good, strong baseline of who you are, so that sometimes in spite of difficulties, in the face of difficulties, you wouldn't even lose your balance, right? Because you've seen it, you've done it before, right? Yesterday, let's say it was a difficult project. Today, it's your computer that's troubling you, but no, you've been through this stuff, so you can handle it without losing your balance, right? So that's what I think meditation does. It gives you this great, strong baseline, so that sometimes you don't lose your balance, and even when you do, you're able to tilt it back to balance instead of letting it affect you for a long time, for a few days, few years, right? I know people who've let these intense experiences affect them forever. It's changed them for the worse, right? And I so wish they could have a practice that helped them correct and balance themselves, right? What else does meditation give me, right? So in Sanskrit, a practice towards a goal, an effort towards a goal, is called sadhana. So this practice of meditating, this practice of singing Namanam Kevalam, of meeting, right, virtually, to sing, meditate together, it's all together called sadhana in the kind of meditation we do, the philosophy we follow. It's called sadhana. And to me, I think it's a great repeatable practice of just recharging myself, right? Emotionally, spiritually, physically. And it's so sustainable. Like, I'm easily able to do it every day. And all I really need is the ability to be quiet. Like, I have meditated on New York City subways successfully. And being able to do that was so empowering, right? Knowing just all I need to do is close my eyes, focus on my breath, on the feeling, right? And that's all I need. And there are other practices that can be repeatable, that can be relatively sustainable, right? Like sports, art, community, right? And we try to imbibe all of them to certain degrees in this practice that we do at Vistara Circle, right? And all of this practice, this repeatable practice, helps me recharge, helps me regain my balance, right? And as a result of all of this, of everything we spoke, I'm able to contextualize my difficulties, right? Because now I know this difficulty is not my existence. It is yet another attempt by me, using my circumstances, to just make another step, or another stride towards feeling infinite love, or towards the awareness that we're all just the same supreme consciousness. right? And when I contextualize my problems, I don't feel overwhelmed by them. And even if I do, I know it's temporary. It's gonna pass, and I know who I am and where I need to be. I have my baseline that guides me, right? So with that said, thank you. I admire you, appreciate you, I love you. Please visit us for more videos, and please let me know what you think about this journey of developing compassion, resilience, and emotional intelligence.
Thank you so much for that, Apurva. So sweet. And I enjoyed the little graphics of the smiley face on the floating meditating person. So cute. I know we're talking about compassion and emotional intelligence, but I think that actually what jumped out at me the most is the analogy that you used of supreme consciousness looking out through all of these windows, that we are the windows for that consciousness. And it just makes so much sense, because if you think about it, like my window right now it's a little bit darker because it's rainy and the other things happening, versus the windows at your house right now, and it's still that same consciousness, but we're having a little bit of a different experience. And I think that compassion is recognizing that, that like everybody is having a little bit of a different experience at any given moment, and we ourselves have had the same thing. If we're continuing to talk about the weather, like you have had rain before, so you know what that means. And I think it's important to have these dual tracks of compassion for ourselves and compassion for others. And the way that we're able to do that is through, meditation helps, and then also service. It's like, if I'm feeling really low and in a place of self-pity, one of the best things that I can do is get out of my own head and be of service to somebody else. And I think and then being of service to somebody else is also what creates then the compassion for them, because I'm able to see what's going on with them in their life, as opposed to like, oh, woe is me, everything's so terrible in my life, but so amazing for everybody else. And when you're doing service, you realize, oh, that's not true. It's not true. Mm-hmm. So, those are some of my initial thoughts.
Definitely. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing them. Just like for me, it's Vistara Circle, right? This is my way. I'm gonna meditate anyway on a Sunday evening. So why don't I do it with everybody else? And it's definitely added to my meditations. It's made me have good meditations. And of course, I have the community and I have these discussions that help me look for a different window.
Yeah, exactly. And I appreciate too the kind of the specific method or mechanism through which you described that meditation helps with emotional intelligence and compassion, because that is exactly the way that I feel, because the meditation that we are practicing is constantly talking about infinite love and supreme consciousness. And it's like me saying that I am that you are that, then it creates this thread of connection between us, because that is the kind of meditation that we are doing in Vistara Circle. Like, there are other people who can meditate on, give me $1 million, give me $1 million, give me $1 million. And that's not going to create compassion or emotional resilience or emotional intelligence or anything. Like, it's inherently, because we are focusing so much on love, that we're then able to have that perspective for ourselves and for other people.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think that might help you get $1 million, also feel like it, instead of just getting it and not feeling like it. Yeah.
Wondering if any of our viewers have any comments on this. Feel free to go ahead and type that into the chat. we would love to hear from you. But maybe you're feeling shy, and that's okay too.
Yeah, I think might be the daylight savings shift that we might not have enough viewers today.
Daylight savings, and yeah, I mean, probably it's sunny and beautiful outside.
Yeah.
I don't want to be indoors.
Yeah.
I want to go for my walk, take that extra hour of sunshine.
Sure. And in that case, you can always tune back into this video. You can catch up.
And also join us in the future on Saturday meditations, and check out the YouTube channel Tantra Thoughts. Krishnama has been devoted to creating more videos that way, and they're much, it's a different. We're meditating together, and so we have this very long, format, because it's trying to replace an in-person meditation. But Tantra Thoughts is more of these bite-size. Here's a video about this little topic. So if you just want something quick and short, Tantra Thoughts. Vistara Circle is more about the community and getting to know each other.
Yeah. And we'll keep it up in the Saturday morning sessions. We'll keep up the Vistara Circle there.